You're listening to Online Pet Health Podcasts with Dr. Megan Kelly. Continuing education for veterinarian rehabilitation therapists. Learn more at onlinepethealth.com.
Hey Vet Rehabbers, today I chat with Jeanne Dailey from Fitpaws USA and one of my Behind the Vet Rehab product podcasts. Now what I love about these podcasts is that we get to learn about the people behind the products that we use in vet rehab. We dive into how Fitpaws was founded as well as the innovation and ideas behind their products. Now Fitpaws is also dedicated to educating vet rehabbers and we're really grateful and thankful to them. They sponsored a series last year that we did on the small animal platform lectured by Sasha Foster. It was all about diagnosis specific treatments and home exercise programs. Now, Sasha lectured on exercise programs for medial shoulder instability, carpus and digit hyperextension, and hip instability and stifle instability. These are available to all our small animal, dual, and multi-members in our library of webinar recordings. There are an amazing 144 small animal specific hours of vet rehab recordings for our webinars in our library. Wow, that's a lot of learning, guys. Now, if the topic of exercise is one that interests you, you don't want to miss out on the lecture this year at the Vet Rehab Summit on the 13th of November. Every year we create an online conference specifically for our online Pet Health members. So they get free complimentary VIP access. Now the topic is isolated versus integrated exercise and it'll be lectured by Sheila Shills and Larry Davies. They're going to be going head to head in what we like to call the dual webinar concept. For the first time ever at Online Pet Health, we'll have not one but two lecturers from different species going to head to head tackling this topic, and you can find out more at vetrehabsummit.com. Now, for the listeners, you want to listen right to the end of this podcast because Fitpaws USA have given us a special discount to give to all the podcast listeners. Over to Jeanne from Fitpaws USA. Hi, Jeanne. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much. What an honor to be here with you today.
Jeanne, why don't you tell our listeners how you became a part of this company and team?
Absolutely. So Fitpaws, which is based here in the U.S. in Denver, Colorado, has been around since approximately 2005. I became a part of the business back in 2017, and it's kind of a funny story how it came about. At the time, I was in business consulting. So, the rigor travel schedule of Sunday through Thursday, corporate America, what have you. And a good friend of ours, he had bought this company for his ex-wife, which was kind of funny. He was an oil and gas guy and really wanted to get out of it. So, good friend of ours, played golf weekly with him. And he finally looked at me one day and said, "Would you ever want this company?" I said, "I don't even know what it is. So I'm not sure what I'm getting into." Well, luckily, as we all know, golf is about 4 hours, it takes about a 4-hour round. And in that time, we had quite the conversation about where the company had come, what its goals were, what its drive were. And the gentleman, my friend, he had just said that, this just isn't something that, I really have any interest in. He said, nor do I know anything about it. So talked back and forth and went over it. And he had a lot of the information. And the company was kind of on that bubble of, do we continue to go forward or do we just close shop? And what do we really, want to do? So fortunately, I had an interest. Back then I had a yellow lab that I adored. So you think, everything about dogs and with only knowing, your own individual dog. Well, lo and behold, whether it was, 3.5 years ago, or even today, I still learned so much more about the different breeds, the different types of dogs. So I was absolutely excited and, to take over the company. And, a lot of hiccups at the onset, as anything, would expect with a company. And we're super excited where it's come today. And like I said, I continue to learn more and more, become more deeply engaged with it, with the dogs, of course, with the people we work with. And so it's been a good run thus far, but just kind of funny how things happen on a golf course, I guess.
Yeah. So you said it started in 2005. So was it originally a human-based company, yes, or did it start off with dogs?
No, actually what had happened, the previous owner had shared that, they owned Fit Ball. And one of his salespeople said, "Hey, I should tell you something that, a lot of people are coming to us and saying that they're using this for their dogs and their cats." And I remember he said, like how? What do you mean? I mean, that seems crazy because I think we all see, a fit ball at the gym, and you might use it to go, for the instability of it, doing sit-ups, doing different types of exercises. And he said, no, no, no. Meet me next week. I want you to come to this trade show with me, and I want to show you. So lo and behold, sure enough, he goes to this trade show, and there's people are parading their dogs up on there. I've only seen a couple cats. We're not really geared. I mean, we could be, I guess, towards cats using it, but the dogs. And I mean, it's amazing, what they were able to do, as far as the step up, the step down, all these types of different exercises. So with amazement, they said, wow, we should really think about branching this off. Literally in that minute, he said, what about fit paws? And he was like, fit ball and fit paws. So it's really quite funny how it came about. There, of course, were some changes, minor changes that they had to make to the materials to accommodate, dogs. But it was amazing the easy transition, though, that they did have from it. So,
yeah. So let's chat about those changes, because obviously a Vet Rehab is, we have access to human companies that sell products.
mm-hmm.
And, I can remember back in the early days here in South Africa, I didn't have access to any animal products, exercise balls and fitness equipment. And I had to buy human equipment. So I
Right.
remember my first ball was a human one. So, and, I remember the material being really worried about the nails. It didn't happen to me
Right.
ever that it popped. But you said, you had to make some changes. So what were the changes that had to be made to that human product to make it suitable for animals?
Right. Well, you absolutely touched on the first point being the actual material, because dogs' paws, and we do try to encourage, just for health purposes, not only for the dog, for people or the owners to keep their dog's nails, trimmed. But what we learned is we wanted to make sure to have it durable, because the problem is just the whole factor. If you were go and to snag or to tear that product, I mean, it could impact the safety, of the dog. And so what we did is we got stronger material, multiple testing on that. What's the right material, that type of thing. And then as well, was determining one of the things that drives the dogs is the sensation. So if you look, and a lot of our products, it's just that flat surface. But what we needed to do was to build some like tracks, that feeling, and we call them nubs. So be able to go in with some products. Some dogs don't like the sensation on their paws, but other dogs, that's what drives them and gives them that comfort of the touch and the feel. So that was another piece that we looked at as far as just the whole material and stuff like that as well.
I must say, I've never even thought about it. Those human products don't have any little bumps on them, do they? Okay.
No,
yeah.
they don't. Yeah. But it's interesting though, I should say, and I don't know, I know soccer is a lot bigger in the US, of course, than it is, or I'm sorry, in South Africa than it is here in the US. But if any of you have where the children, after they play a soccer match here in the US, Adidas is a big one. They have those sandals that the kids wear that do have those kind of nubs on them to kind of like give their feet that sensation after they've gone out and, played a full match, and, their feet are tired and worn and things like that. So there is a little bit of that we see. But as far as on actual products, yeah, we don't see that.
So I'm guessing the next challenge was all the different sizes, because
Yes.
I mean, in humans, you have like a few size balls, depending on, the size of the person, from a child to a large adult.
Right.
Whereas with the animals, I mean, we've got dogs with very short legs, with very long legs, different lengths. I mean, it must be such a challenge getting all those sizes that is adaptable to different types of breeds and different sizes of animals.
Well, I'll tell you a little kind of funny comment or story about that. It was interesting when we did go to develop the products, and we were talking with one of our manufacturers, and they said, well, you can fit 300 pounds, on this piece of equipment. I said, I've never seen a 300-pound dog. And he looked at me and he said, no, humans will stand on the product with the dog. That equals 300 pounds. So I was like, oh, okay, I get it. But we do have, and we learned, that we had to come out with different sizes, because of the point is what you're trying to achieve with this product is to build up core strength, whether it's through the rehab process or if it is through the exercise process. And so what you have to do is what's feasible. So it's kind of like if you've ever done something and it's so big, you can't, maintain the stability of it, hence to build up the strength. So it was really important that we did look at, we've all seen those people that have their dogs in their purse. And then I even think of myself, with our, yellow lab, which is, 70, 74 pounds, even larger dogs too. So we really felt the advantage is how would we maximize what the dogs are trying to achieve and what have you. And size played a huge part in that. So give the people a variety, never a one size fits all, and then be able to build the different exercises, around that.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed is that your products are phthalate free. Is this something that pet owners are requesting?
No, yeah, a lot of them. It is. And I think that, when you run into this, again, here we have it specifically with, infant products for babies, things like that. That is really important. We call it the 6P free, just to maintain that because of the fact it came out, prior to when I came to the company, but it was a big point because of the fact of people are constantly, looking out for their animals, which is fantastic. And again, it was just something that we were able to go to our manufacturers and to say that this is really important. Can it be done? So we do carry the certifications, that type of thing, here on file, just because we don't get too many questions now about it because our products have been around for so long. And we haven't changed any of that with it. But, once in a great while, we will get, some of the larger customers just so they can keep it on file as well.
Out of interest, are the human companies, so like, for example, the Fitball, is that product also made of phthalate free?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So I should say that when I came to the company 3 years ago, they split. Okay. So we don't have the human side on that. They were not 6P free, I know at the time, but I don't know and where it's gone over, the past 3.5, 4 years. So I couldn't answer that.
Okay.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I think everyone's moving that way, right?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think we were the cutting edge. I think everybody had, was doing it and moving in that direction. Yep.
Yeah. So let's fast check now, 3 years later. So how big is the company?
Well, I know I'm a lot older with gray hair. No, I'm kidding. How big is the company? Yeah, we have a pretty lean organization. The fact of our core team can vary from about 6 to 12 people. And different things, and why that varies a little bit. It could be if there's, a new product launch. It could be if there's different types of, campaigns that we're doing, things like that. But what we leverage is a lot of contractors. We've got a team of very experienced trainers. Bobby Lyons has a team called Positive Performance. I think her group of trainers is up to about a dozen. So they do a number of our exercise videos, teaching our courses. I'll tell you what, we've even got some videos going on with them right now, just FAQ type videos, how do you blow up or inflate the certain products? But then we also do bring in, different types of, whether it's graphic designers, things like that. So we're probably, I would say, 6 to 12, but probably right now I know we're at 11 core, people. And we've grown. One of the things that we do leverage is what we call our dealer network. So here in the United States, we have 650 plus dealers. And those are people that we have on file, their sales tax and business license. So they will sell product, whether they're trainers, they hold a course, and then they sell the product, directly to their customers. So we leverage that. We do have what we call domestic distributors. They order in larger quantities. A lot of them have a retail front. And then we also work with a lot of the major retailers, here in the US. So that's kind of how we leverage the different channels as well. And, we really have found that to be successful of the fact, because they're like an extension of our kind of a FitPaws. And so we're able to kind of go through with them what our strategies, what our philosophies are. And they do a good job of communicating that, of course, to their audiences. And that's been very successful for us so far.
So your distributors and dealers, are they international based or maybe?
Yes. Yes, thank you. We are a global company. It's interesting. Somebody was asking how we break it down between, say, Europe, the US, and then kind of the remaining, which, whether it's South Africa, Australia, Asia, and things like that. Right now, Europe has been our, leading market. We do have two very large distributors there. And a lot of times just because of shipping and things like that can get expensive, a lot of people will reach out to us, and what we will do is refer them just to try to drive out costs. I mean, I think we all know, of course, in today's world, the challenges and things like that. So we'll direct them to those different distributors and stuff. So we're always trying to work with our customers if we have to. I know today we've got a shipment going out to Japan, actually, just because we had product on hand and they didn't want to wait for the manufacturing time. So, I mean, we're pretty fortunate in the fact that we have a large and expansive network that we're able to leverage.
So if there are vet rehabbers out there that are in a country where maybe there is no distributor, they can reach out to you.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and then get product from the closest distributor.
Yep.
And they can obviously sell those to clients or to other vet practices or vet rehab therapists.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's really effective. We try to, I'm proud of our team. I think we do a good job of priding, the account managers for, immediate response and working, for the customer. And I think that's been a really big part of our success.
What did you say is unique about your product and company?
It's interesting. I remember, that's a great question. I remember the first time I saw it, and I think the reaction from most is, my dog would never use that. I would never use that. There's no way. And I think what makes it unique is you look at it and it's intimidating. And I don't know if you've ever, using it, but even for a human to stand on it and try to hold your balance, we do this at a lot of, when we try to demonstrate the product, and the human will step down and say, wow, I couldn't do that. So I think what makes the product unique is the way we are able to introduce it, show examples, and then where we're able to point out what the value and benefit is while using it. And then even down the road, okay, what happens, okay, so if I do this every day for, my dog does it every day for 10 days, what's going to happen? And we're able to show the results. And I think that's what makes the product unique, is it's not a toy. It's not something you put and just throw out for the dog to, chew on and roll on and things like that. It's a niche product that really serves the purpose and drives results.
Yeah, and what I love about it is that you guys are really passionate about educating.
Absolutely.
And you have, a few different ways in which you educate. So you've teamed up with the University of Tennessee and created a certified canine fitness trainer. And then I also see that there are some courses that you do and some training with Bobby Lyon. So why don't you tell us about those two different trainings and who each one is for?
Sure. So Bobby, a very well-known trainer here in the U.S. Actually, she's pretty much global. She's traveling everywhere for different. She's been kind of on hold here the last year, as we all have, but she travels throughout the world, putting together, probably usually around a 3 to 5 day course. And the interesting thing about Bobby is the fact that she will start out sometimes with, somebody who, has a dog and says, I really want to become closer to this dog. I want to build up my dog strength. I want us to work together. I'm passionate about my dog. She'll cater, whether it's individual classes or larger group classes, not too large though, because you get a lot of one-on-one attention where you get the opportunity to work, with your dog. They, looking at its manners, helping it, build up and achieve the goals that, you're with. She's got, I think, on her team, I'm going to say 10 to 12 different trainers throughout the U.S. And they'll go and set up these courses, whether it's, statewide, regional, things like that. So that brings in a number of people who really, working with their dog. The programs we have at the University of Tennessee, a little bit more advanced. There's two of them, CCFT and CCRP, okay? The CCFT is for the dog trainers, and it might also be for people who, because it gets into too as well, some of the actual truly like the dog, the hind legs and the different parts of the dog, where the build, the muscle strength, things like that, where, Bobby's classes aren't going to, get as detailed, but they work with the dog. So you get both of the combination of the two, with the University of Tennessee, and it's full on certification. So it is, I believe it is, I think it's, I'm going to say 6 to 8 months to get certified, because you're doing different things such as actual, you may go on to become a trainer. So you're putting together training plans, you're doing case studies, you go to live sessions where you're actually working with dogs, being shown how to train other dogs, that type of thing. So very in depth in that regard. The CCRP program, which is also through the University of Tennessee, focuses more with vet technicians and veterinarians who are focusing on, which used to be the word, prehab and rehab. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with prehab, but a lot of people are having their dogs and working with them so they don't run into any, troubles later in life, whether it's, arthritis, whether it could be, an Achilles, in labs, things like that. So it's interesting, the two different programs, and both of them, a lot of effort, really some amazing people put a lot of time and commitment to it to get that certification. And then the thing that I find really rewarding and exciting, they'll come back and tell us what they've done with their kind of, education and that type of thing, what they've done with it. Hey, I just opened a vet rehab clinic, or wow, now I'm teaching courses. And that's really exciting for us.
Yeah, and I must have even seen some CCRP graduates.
Yes.
Certification going on then to do the certified canine fitness trainer.
Mm-hmm.
They're like some rehab therapists that are more into agility and treating competitive and sports medicine dogs. They get that extra little bit of, training that they can do, because a lot of them are, like you're saying, preventing injuries.
Right.
So, yeah. So I've seen people actually do both courses, not just the one or the other. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, we, and it was unfortunate. We're actually just finally being able to go back live in July. I'll be going to Knoxville. We've got a CCFT course. And I'll tell you, I sure enjoy the people because they come from all over the world. And that's been really exciting, as well. So that's a great opportunity. And it's just, they get together, they collaborate on ideas. I mean, you'll get stuff in these topics and questions that they'll ask at this, because they do get a lot of kind of the, hey, from, at the end of the day, let's have some free form questions where they're talking about what type of, mats should I have for their, for their facility. What are some of the ways you advertise things? So it's really broad. And I know a lot of people benefit from that. Whereas the CCRP, a lot of them, run into that. How can I open a rehab clinic, or so a lot of good mixing and networking, as well as extensive learning.
Yeah, I think there's so many new courses that are out there. So it's really exciting. Yeah. So if any of you are interested, we will put the links to these courses.
Sure.
It's on the Course USA website. So I'll put the links in the description for you. Let's go now chat about all your products.
Sure.
So I know you've got loads of different products.
Yes.
I think maybe if you could list just a few of the different products that you've got, your main sellers, and then finish off with your best seller.
Okay, sure. It's interesting when you talk about the vast number of products, and I just, before we get into it, the things that really are important and why we increase the number is, as we talked about earlier, the different sizes. And then to even go a step further, which you don't realize it, but even there's a lot of people that have a color scheme. So they'll come back to us and say, hey, I really liked when you had, this, but are you ever thinking about adding this color? So that's an interesting thing too, because a lot of these, hey, I always use, blues only. Okay, well, that's great. We'll, try to accommodate. So it's everything. So in addition, of course, to the size and the color, the different products that we have, I think one of our better sellers, not the best, but is, first of all, the agility kit. Now that isn't like our other products. It's not like we have to inflate it or anything like that, but it's amazing the different exercises that you can do with the agility kit. So it comes with, cones, poles, that type of thing, and it'll get the dog. And luckily with the holes, there's like 3 different levels based on, height. So it'll kind of get you going to build up some of kind of the cardio for the dog, get them jumping, get them zipping through it, teaching them to, quick comeback, turn around. So different exercises there. But then we move into things like, for example, we have what we call our ramp, which is great for puppies and senior dogs, because what that does is it's able to, and it's not a steep incline on that, but it gives them first the touch, because there are the nubs, as we spoke about earlier, on that. And it just gives them a slight incline. So it's a good way to build up as far as, the touch piece as well. And then the different commands that you're able to say, well, that's kind of their home base per se. Other things that we've got, which kind of, a little bit more advanced is, what we call the peanut, different sizes again. but this is an inflated. This one I think is about as close to the human fit ball as any of them. But it allows a lot of exercises. You can use it to whether on the front legs or the hind legs, but to push the product. Or we see, of course, then to have them actually jump up on it and try to maintain the stability and balance on that. So there's the peanuts. We then also have what we call the donut, which does look like a donut. And then what you've got there's the holder with that same type of kind of approach to it, getting the dog, whether you want to do it with just either front or hind, legs, but then getting, of course, all four on theirs as well. The other things that we sell, paw pods, which is, I'll tell you, we laughed. The first time I ever saw them, there was these corgis, and it's like always the corgis, the perfect, where you go and they're a smaller type, but it's for all four of their legs. Some will use them, of course, with just two. And the nice thing about the products is maybe they'll do a combination. They might do, your front paws are going to be on a paw pod, and maybe your back will have, based on the elevation of the donut, different, combination things that you can use. So we've got those. We've also got, in addition, to the peanuts, we've got balance pads, which a lot of the, matter of fact, all of them, it's almost a core product for rehab. And so it's a foamy type product, and it's square shaped. And what that does is because it does, you can indent it as well. That really is one of the first products that a lot of the rehab will do, just to start building up the strength in dogs who maybe have come off a surgery or an injury or things like that. So those are some large. We have a hurdle set, of course, which is great as well. That's a little bit larger than the agility kit, does a lot of the same type of functionality. So that's great. We also have what we call our boards. The rocker boards, which they basically have, the center has kind of like the holder, and they kind of go back and forth, and you're really trying to maintain stability of that with the rocker and the wobble board. So you'll get your dog on it, and it's kind of balancing it. And I'll tell you, it's a number one, I guess, I don't want to say challenge for people at trade shows, because people are trying to get on these, and how you maintain your balance on that as well. So we do get a lot out of that. But I think our largest and best-selling product are definitely the Fit Bones. And if you're not familiar, with the Fit Bones, the thing that's nice about them is they come in 3 different sizes. So we have the mini, the regular, and of course the giant. And those are predominantly driven by size of the dog, but they can also be, like, for example, you'll see a lot of people who will take 2 mini bones for the, say, hind legs, and then maybe just a regular for the front. And a lot of people, what they like about the Fit Bones, in addition to the different sizes, is the ability to inflate and deflate. So obviously, the more air in it, the easier it's going to be to stabilize. The less, it becomes much more wobbly and a bigger, challenge, of course, to maintain that stability. So we've got multiple colors of those, and just different, exercises. I want to add one thing that's really important is when we talked about the value of education, looking at these products and say, okay, great, now what do I do with it? As I talked about earlier, Bobby Lyons and her team, we have a number of videos on our website that do go through each of the products, different exercises. So I think that's important too, because, I don't know, about yourself, but I know when I go and I get to the gym and I jump on the treadmill, probably about 30 minutes in, I'm just like, wow, this is boring. And so it's really important to maintain, keeping things fresh. And then it gives your dog an opportunity, of course, to focus on whether it's different exercises, different ways to build up the strength, things like that. But we think that's very important. We're really proud, though, of course, of the videos that we have put out, based on each of the products.
Yeah, I see you've also got some posters too.
Posters, yes, absolutely. A lot of people like those, especially where, and we get to a point though, although, we've all kind of gone green. A lot of it will, of course, send. We've got a team of graphic designers. A lot of people reach out and say, hey, I'm building, got a new studio opening. Would you have any? A lot of times we'll just send them a link and they'll have them printed, or they'll have us send them to them. And that's because everybody likes a visual. Okay, yeah, we've got different that talk about multiple steps of different exercises. And that's nice to have, of course, in front of you as well.
Yeah. So one of the products you didn't mention, which I've seen on your website, is the Flexi paws. And I found this so interesting.
Yes.
You don't see this often in the veterinary field at all, I don't think. I mean, I have never seen it in the vet rehab field, where 2 companies that make similar products collaborate and actually a product together. So Flexi comes from Flexiness, which
Yeah.
is a European-based company, and obviously the Pause. So
Right.
tell us about this collaboration. I
Sure.
mean, for me, it's really inspiring because it shows that both companies are actually just trying to create great products, and so they
Sure.
don't mind if they're doing it with their competitor. That's where your inspiration comes, is to have an
Sure.
amazing product.
Yeah.
So tell us how that all happened.
Sure. So the owner of Flexiness, she was a CCFT graduate, and I think it might have been, let's just say 6 years ago. Okay. So she became very familiar with the FitPaws products, wanted to take them over to based in Switzerland. Okay. And just a great way, she thought, be able to go. And as she was doing training, things like that. So as you'll see, a number, in her portfolio are directly, from the FitPaws portfolio. But we had, I had reached out 2 years ago in November and said, we should consider, a product that we could collaborate on, that we could, again, expand. What are some things that you're thinking? And she had shared an idea that she had, and I said, this is fantastic. Right now, the only product we share together is called the Cloud. And one of the things, just a little bit, if you've never seen the Cloud, I know you have, but it's really kind of like half of a peanut, almost like a Bosu ball, because the base is flat. And so it doesn't require necessarily a stand, or anything like that to, maintain the stability. So and we came out with this product. We have tweaked it per se 3 times based on materials, making sure that how steady the base, things like that. And it's been a huge success. And I know we had talked a while back about, what other products are we talking about, collaborating on, what are their future? We are talking about a couple of them. And it's unfortunately, things have been, I don't want to say halted because it's ongoing conversations. But we're really looking at the fact, just because of the way things are right now with challenges, with our suppliers getting raw materials, things like that, as far as what might be next. But we want to be prepared, of course, to pull the trigger, once kind of the gates fully open up. And the thing that we believe as 2 companies very established in this area, that us working together, credibility, we believe we already had, brand name, we believe we already had. And it was really just a way, as you'd elaborated, I know, and alluded to, what are ways that we can say we're working together to kind of take canine fitness and rehab to that next level? What are our customers asking for? What do they think? And because it's interesting that we have found the things that might be important to their customers haven't yet caught, haven't phased or, brought up here. And of course, vice versa. And that's why we believe, from basically, 2 different parts of the world, just the way that we can expand and who we can touch further.
Yeah, I love it. I love the collaboration.
Yeah. And they've been wonderful to work with, which makes it, of course, much easier and more exciting.
So where do you get the inspiration to innovate new products?
It's interesting, and it's not from me, I'll tell you that. My background was, business. Okay. But I think what's neat is the relationships we have built, not only with the team of trainers, people like, Flexiness, but the more so the customer. And they really tell us, I really like this product, or, hey, have you ever thought of, and that draws a huge amount of inspiration and thoughts around it, because then it's kind of like scratch your head and say, I like that, but how can we make this? We've had a lot of crazy ideas too, don't get me wrong, but it's really important, though, to listening to those that are actually working with the product. And we sure enjoy when people come up with ideas. And then also are able to tell us, I believe you would be able to achieve this benefit by doing this. And then we can say, okay, versus just getting, one piece of product that will help 3 dogs, right? It's really important is how can we make it and open it up to, again, different sizes of dogs, different types, that type of thing.
So out of those crazy ideas, have you had any that have just been complete flops? Like you just said, okay, like we're abandoning this.
Yeah, well, what we do run into, this was really funny, is is, hey, I'm really looking for something that, I could use kind of that would, walk my dog so I don't have to. I'm really busy at work and I kind of want them to lose weight. And we were just like, you ever tried a dog treadmill? Oh, great. Things like that. But we do get a lot of ideas based on things that might already be there and they just don't know. But, as far as the absolute funniest, a lot of times, we had one woman that was asking why we didn't make blankets. And we were like, I'm not quite sure I understand that. So anyway, with every, add in anything, everybody loves a suggestion box. We really are fortunate to get a lot of emails and a lot of great ideas, but you do get some funny ones. So I don't know how to quilt or do any of that. So we haven't gotten into blankets yet.
So I don't want you to reveal any of your secrets. Maybe you've got some things that you're not ready to reveal yet, but do you have any new products that are coming out in the market that the vet rehabbers can get excited about?
Yeah, we do. And I think that's what, is exciting for us. We have gotten quite a bit of interest to go further into the agility world. Okay. And there's so much more because it is amazing how popular agility is becoming. And so we are working with a team to try to come to some new products that will help in that area. And that's probably about the, furthest I'll go into, but it's really exciting for us. And I think we're looking every single day, for, new ideas, different things that are exciting. And I think what's important too is, hey, there's others out there too that are doing the exact same thing. So again, but I think to just throw a product out there without the due diligence and the true understanding, that's not something that FitPaws has ever been based on or anything that we'll ever do. So we'll continue again to work with our team and try to come out with some new, exciting, hopefully the right color, products.
Yeah, funny you say that. I actually saw a post on Facebook the other day when somebody was saying they've got like all color coded and they were looking for like frame to put them all in and fit all the colors so that it all like matched, so it's never something that's been something that I would do. I'm not really a matchy, but there are people like that, right? Everything has to be, so those type of personalities.
Absolutely.
Absolutely fabulous chatting to you, and learning all about FitPaws, how you got into it. I love your story and I love all the innovation and everything that you're doing. You have a discount that you're going to offer our podcast listeners. So excited about. Won't you tell them about it? And
absolutely.
Then the listeners, we will put the URL where you can get this discount in the description.
Great. Absolutely. So we offer an educational discount, which is 30% off all FitPaw products coming out of our location here in the US. So I want to make sure that we kind of preface that. And what we would do, of course, if we do get somebody, one of your listeners, because I know you reach many, many people, we would, of course, do the due diligence of checking, the cost. Is it cheaper based on, transportation and things like that? But we do offer the educational discount. We'll get that link to you. All the people would have to do, click on it, sign themselves up, and then that gives them access to products that are already discounted. Again, the 30%, and they could place an order.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeanne.
Yes.
It's been great chatting to you. Have an awesome day.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. And please, if you get a moment, head over to Stitcher or iTunes and leave me a review. It's a really lonely job being a podcaster, and so the only time I get to hear from you or know that you're out there is when I get a review. And know that I read every single one of your reviews. So to those of you that have left reviews, I want to say a very, very big thank you. Every time we get a review, it really helps to get the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast out there to all the vet rehabbers all over the world. All right, vet rehabbers, so if you are looking for more continuing education in the field of veterinary rehabilitation, head over to onlinepetart.com. Go be awesome, guys.